Okay, now I'm going to discuss our basic alignments. And as I said, this is key to playing the defense, is having proper alignments. Starting up front, we have 4 down linemen. We have 2 ends and 2 tackles. I usually designate one as a nose just because at our level, I like to learn for a guy to play in a shade on a center and another guy to play a 3 technique. Those guys can be interchangeable, but for teaching purposes, I like to simplify as much as I can. This end here is a crash end. He's a wide player. He doesn't necessarily line up in a 5 technique and play heavy on a guy. He's actually a yard outside the offensive tackle. This defensive tackle is in a heavy 3 technique. If you were going to make a mistake on alignment, I'd rather him be heavy than I would to be too loose. He is playing the outside shoulder of the offensive guard. The nose guard is playing on the center, not in the gap, but literally on the center, as a shade on the center, on the shoulder of the center, and trying to key that center. The 5 technique end is a little bit of a different end because he's playing in a heavy technique. He's a defensive lineman playing on the shoulder of an offensive tackle versus the other defensive end who is playing a little more loose. Again, at my level, that's why these guys are different. Some guys that are 4-3 guys have the same ends and the same tackles that play different positions. And that would work too as far as scheme. But to really simplify teaching, we have a 5 technique and we have a crash end that are different. Our Leo linebacker is our outside linebacker who will play on a tight end if there is one or on a number 2 receiver. The Leo position is going to be a 1-by-1 outside of the tight end in a tilted stance reading the release of the tight end. Our Mike and our Will are traditional inside linebackers, and as long as the offense has 2 backs in the backfield, we're going to have 2 linebackers in the box. And these guys are 4-yard linebackers, Mike being a B-gap linebacker, Will being also 4 yards. A little different in the way we run our 4-3. Our Will's aligned over the tackle. A lot of guys keep their linebackers in on A-gap, but we're looking for an advantage out here, which I'll get into in a little bit. Over here, our corners sort of look like a cover 2 shell, but our corners are 5 to 6 yards off the ball. And this strong safety is on the twin side or on the strength of the secondary call. He's going to be 1-by-8 off the tight end. Okay? The free safety here is going to be 10 yards deep and splitting the difference between the offensive tackle and the split end. Okay? When I say get 8 men to the ball, you can see how we are gap sound as far as our linebackers go. This would be the 8th guy that we're speaking of. And we're going to read, and when talking about force, we're going to try to read this block by this tight end. So if this man would block out, okay, the Leo would fight that pressure, and the safety would be the inside filler, outside in. Of course, we're going to have a linebacker tracking the ball, but our linebackers always track the ball inside out. In other words, we don't want our linebacker to fly too flat and have the ball cut underneath him. The linebacker, when he flows to the ball, should be nice and tight so that he's playing on the inside shoulder of the running back, inside out. If the tight end were to block down, whether it's the end or whether he's coming to the linebacker, this Leo linebacker will now close and the safety will be the outside player. So it's a combination. It's a read between the Leo and the safety as to how we're going to get that other guy down. Over on this side, so our force player, okay, our force player is our Leo in combination with our safety, depending on the block of the tight end. Okay? On the other side, our corner is in what we call cloud. In other words, corner support. Our corner is the force player on the weak side. On paper, it might look like this edge is open. But if you think about this alignment of this crash end, the 3 technique here, and the Will linebacker, we actually have 3 defenders to their 2 blockers. And this make for difficult blocks. Okay? If he were to try to make his way to the linebacker, now we've got a free player here. So we think that alignment helps set that edge. But over here, the corner is the force player with the safety being the deep half player.